Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science has been teaching us that everything is energy, and that energy is interconnected and interdependent. And ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the truth of universal oneness for eons, and now science is catching up. And this isn't even new science. This science of quantum physics is over 100 years old, and at the core of quantum physics is oneness. So when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is The Point of No Return with Brad Johnson. Thank you, Brad. Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Thank you, Caroline. Good to be back again with you.
Yes. I think it was in 2016. It's been that long, 4 years ago since you've been with us. Wow, time flies. So please, I have been following you very closely since mid-March, because a lot has been happening.
Oh, yeah.
So I like you for it. Now, some of my guests may not be familiar with who you are, so let's start there.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Brad Johnson. I am basically doing a lot of different things within the spiritual metaphysical field in that way. So basically, I started this journey in 2008. I'm what's known as the official channel for Adronis. That's pretty much how commonly people know me in that way. But I've also looked into many different things. So I've not only looked into channeling, I've looked into healing, I've looked into pretty much everything under the sun relating to the spiritual field. So it started in 2008. I don't want to get too much into it because you guys can just look online and listen to my story all together and read it. So again, the website is newearthteachings.com. The About page is there. But in a nutshell, it's just that I had a big awakening in 2008, shifted my entire path. I got into the channeling work and connecting with a being from Sirius known as Adronis. And since that time, I've been working with people one-to-one and in group capacity and working worldwide, going international as well too, working with thousands and thousands of people, working with spiritual information, spiritual healing. Adronis comes through and shares an incredible amount of information. As of late, I've actually been working a lot more with God and a lot more with the divine spirit. So that has been even more prevalent in that way. But I've also developed my own healing systems. One of the healing systems here is the healing code cards, right? Yes. So these are available on Amazon. If you go to New Earth Teachings, you'll find the link there. I've also created a healing code shop, which is also the same technology, just on shirts and apparel and accessories.
I love those.
So that too, you can link to New Earth Teachings as well too. Yes, I've designed a lot of different things. I've designed a lot of different forms of healing practices. There's a new technique I've already started to develop. I'll be introducing in November called the realignment method. So I don't know. I have a big resume. There's a big resume of things that I do.
You're awesome. And like I said, I discovered you in 2016. You were a guest on my show. I was just I'm like, just love all your stuff. I love everything that you're about, and it just, it resonates so much. And now, at the times we're living in, 2020, I knew. Now, I was saying, Brad, since September of 2019, I've been sharing on my show that 2020 is the year of clear vision. I know you have a different terminology for it, but I still think they kind of align.
Yeah, they're one and the same, really. It's basically, it's the year of exposure, right?
Yes.
So for exposure is really to see everything in plain sight. You can't ignore it, right? Everything in the world is shaking up so intensely. You can't hide behind anything anymore. You can't bury your head in the sand. You're going to be shaken out of the sand to wake up and to see it. So yes, this is 2020, and it's the last pivotal point relating to a very heavy, dense age. Right? And this is what's called the point of no return, right? Yes. So basically at the end of the year, when we go into the solstice, we're actually moving into an astrological shift.
Okay.
This astrological shift is taking us more into the air element, into Aquarius, right? So basically it's not quote unquote the age of the Aquarius, but it's moving into the benchmark of that time, which means there's going to be a lot more transparency. There's going to be a lot more lightness. There's going to be a lot more revealing. And again, just dissolving of old systems that have been heavy. So it's kind of like you're looking at all these heavy weights and you're seeing them all just being exposed. You're seeing them being dissolved. You're seeing them being cleared away. You're looking at all these ugly plants that were planted by hideous things, and you're seeing them being ripped out of the ground. Basically, it's a time of action. When we get into 2021, I refer to it as the year of transition, which means a lot of old systems are going to die. It's basically what's going to happen. The banking systems are going to die. Banking cartels are going to die. The elitist systems are going to die. They're all falling apart. We're seeing that right now as well, too. So there's a lot of paper trails that are being attempted to be covered up and dismantled and all that, but it won't save them, right? So they're doomed. They're finished. Everything that I've said in 2020 is that, Adronis has put it as well too, is that this is the funeral for the world elites, right? They're basically just experiencing their own funeral right now, but they're not going without a fight. And that's exactly how they are, right? And they're basically trying to hold the entire world hostage. And that has been their entire process with the whole COVID-19. It's a hostage negotiation. It's a hostage situation. Either give us back our power or we'll open fire. But the guns are being taken away from them. They don't have any bullets in those guns, right?
Yes.
So that's the whole idea, saying, you're out of ammo. You don't have anything left, really. All they can really do is just it's the cockroaches that are scattering as soon as you turn the lights on, right? And that's exactly what's happening. This is going to continue, right? So I don't feel 2021 will be as intense of what we've experienced in 2020, but it still will be a pretty dang intense year, because there's a lot of things that still need to be uncovered. It's a lot of things that need to be uprooted and pulled out of the ground in that sense. And as we move into 2022, 2023, 2024, a lot of that will continue, but grassroots are also taking effect as well too. So basically what I tell people in that sense, and this is actually just what I put up on Facebook last night, is that for every bit of lack there is a counter agent to it. There is a counter energy, a counter force, and that counter force is love. And love is always there. So no matter how much lack you create in the world, love will always be the counter effect to it, because the universe is in a state of harmony. It is not a disharmonious universe. It is a harmonious universe. And anytime you try to create lack, then there's always going to be love that'll be right next door to it to help to clear it up, to bring transparency to it altogether. And so basically a lot of these screen doors that have been used to cover up all this lack are basically being taken down. So this is again why it's referred to as the year of exposure, because you can't hide these things anymore. These things are going to be very transparent, very open. People will again go into a state of denial, which again is just all part of fear, just all part of them not being able to accept what is happening, because denial is just a byproduct in regards to a great amount of lack. But love is all around them. They just don't see it. The screens are, again, attempting to block that image, but those screens are falling. And again, those who are very much in love, who do want to assist and who want to expand themselves, are going to go into incredible heights. And those that basically stay in denial will go down with sinking ships. So it's very important that you befriend change. It's very important that you understand that love is what is needed right now. Love and compassion and happiness and helping each other out. There's a situation that just happened in Lebanon about the explosion that took place there. And there's a lot of people there that are going through some tough times. So again, this is where we just need to rally ourselves, bring love, bring compassion, bring support to that. This is going to happen a lot more. You can basically see that all of the banks are basically going to be taken down as well too. There's other reports about banks now being put on fire and all that, where other trade centers and all that. So this is all part of it. They know they're finished, and so they're trying to cover their tracks. And again, it's the cockroaches trying to scatter. But no matter what they do, they think about these things so logically, and they don't know that they're dooming themselves even more. It's quite humorous, really. So
I agree.
Again, this is why we call it the year of exposure. Everything is being open and transparent. And clear vision is very much part of it too.
Yes, I agree 1,000%. Everything they do is they're shooting themselves in the foot, like trying to censor doctors. Those doctors are getting more views because they're being censored, So
what happens
everything
when you kink a water hose, right? You let the kink go, the water shoots off even stronger, right?
Exactly.
That's what happens when you try to kink things.
Yes, exactly. I just heard this morning, I'm a big fan of Del Bigtree. That's the only news show I watch. It's called The High Wire here in the States. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No,
Del was he was my guest, but he's big into exposing the medical quote unquote fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And he has and he's actually an Emmy award winning producer and was kind of kicked off mainstream media because he's going after the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so he started his own show, but he was actually censored from YouTube just last week. His whole channel was taken down, and now he's got more people following him because of that,
Yeah.
action.
Yeah.
And I see online, because I stopped watching news, and this was a direct order from my higher self. I stopped watching news, mainstream news, September of 2001, right
Mm-hmm.
after 9/11.
Right.
And I didn't know why at the time. My awakening wasn't until 2007.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2001, I was obedient. My higher self said, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on. And I didn't even know why at the time. I even
Mm-hmm.
said aloud, why?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'll turn it off. I have not watched. So when you just mentioned about Lebanon, I'm clueless about certain things. I know my head is not in the sand. I know what's going on in the world, and I can know what's going on in the world without watching that mainstream news.
Yeah.
But I just heard also on Facebook this morning that there's a lot of unrest in the UK with thousands of people protesting, saying, burn your mask, stop, are you listening to the BBC,
And see,
fake
this
news.
is the kinking of the hose, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
again,
yes.
as they try to kink the hose and say, go outside, wear your mask, do this, no, people are going to rebel against it. So this is, again, like I just talked about, that there is a counter force called love, right?
Yes.
And love is going to get you to rebel against everything that relates to lack, right? Love is a rebel when it comes to lack, right? It says, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to take our masks off. We'll burn them. We'll throw them away. We're not going to take this anymore. So again, it's basically that hose being kinked up. The water pressure is building. You finally release it, and it is an incredible, powerful stream of water. And that's exactly what's happening to the entire collective consciousness. The collective consciousness is now being set free. Because again, that rebelliousness is all part of an effect of love. That's the counter effect. That's the counter force. So again, like I said, it's going to be a rebel. It's going to wear the bandana. It's going to ride the motorcycles, right? It's going to be a rebel without a cause. And it's going to tell everybody, take these stupid things off because you don't need them. They're hurting you, and they're going to hurt your immune system. They're building acidity in your body. You don't need them. So yes, there's absolutely going to be a revolt, and it's going to happen in the United States as well too. It's going to pretty much happen in everywhere, all over countries, to where masks are mandatory in that way.
Yes, it's crazy. Now, my gym opened on June 19th. They were closed, but they opened. And when they first opened, for the first 3 weeks, they had the social distancing, but they didn't require masks. But it came down from the governor. I'm in Pennsylvania. Came down from the governor, and even the manager of the store was arguing with governor's people. People can't exercise. Can you imagine trying to work out with a mask on?
Mm-hmm.
So I have never worn a mask. I wear a badge of freedom that says, for health reasons, I can't wear a mask. But when they started that, I went to the gym last night. Mm-hmm. Nobody exercising had the mask over their nose, and most of them had it down on their chin. Okay, the mask is on your chin and you're working. Really? It's like, come on, people, just take off the mask, do like I'm doing, just say for health reason. And in a gym, that's a legitimate health reason why I can't wear a mask while I'm working out.
Yeah, you're suffocating yourself in that.
Yes.
So. Yeah, the only time I've actually worn a mask was getting a haircut, and that's it. Because everybody else has a haircut, like, oh, okay, fine. I put it on for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how you guys.
I know, it was driving.
Because no, I do not wear masks either, and so that was the only time I really do. The other time is when you're coming on a ferry, because I'm in BC, Canada.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to, but I didn't have to wear it because other people aren't wearing it as well too. Canada's a little bit more chill with it, but I mean, there are certain establishments that still have their employees to wear masks. So there's things that are not so chill with it. Right. So then again, you're just seeing these people suffocate, and you're just offering them love and compassion because they're just dying in these masks, and they're being told by their jobs, hey, you got to wear these masks. You got to wear them. It's like, forget it. I'm going to quit my job if this stuff carries on, because I'm more concerned about my health than I am about, making Starbucks.
Exactly. I am very concerned about my health. So that's why my badge is actually very true. For health reasons, I cannot wear a mask. And here in the US, we have the HIPAA law. So they can't even ask me what my health reason is. I don't know how it is if you guys have HIPAA.
No, we don't have that in Canada.
Okay.
No. Canada's not so uptight.
Yes, I sure. And I think, well, like I said, I see this happening in the UK as far as burning the mask and talking, having these rallies of thousands of people talking about don't listen to the fake news. I don't see that as much here in the US. So I think we're lagging behind.
Well,
But
you want to look into it on a much more collective level. You want to look into it internally, right? Because there is a lot of it. Your media is not going to show it. Even alternative media may have
yes,
challenges in showing it as well too. Don't look at life through a lens, right?
yes.
And that goes for your mainstream media, and that goes for your alternative media as well too. Look at
Mhm.
it through yourself, because everything is communicatable, right? It's like when I teach people about working together with consciousness, you're able to go in and you're just able to say, Spirit, show me the current condition of the collective consciousness here
Right.
in Canada, here in the United States, here in the United Kingdom. And you feel it. You feel all this energy flowing through you. And now you're actually to look into the essence about what's actually happening. And I do that quite a bit.
Hmm.
And there is such an upliftment that is taking place right now, and the mainstream media will not show you that. There are
Of
so many
course.
people that are liberating themselves. There are so many people, again, that are saying, nope, forget it. We're going to retaliate against this whole stuff. We're not going to hurt anybody, but
Right.
the masks are going to go. And there's been talk about a second wave of viruses happening. No, that's foiled too. So again, there's a lot of plans, and the stupid thing that they've done is they basically just pre-announced all these things
Hmm.
prior to them happening. I said, well, that's you digging your own grave. You guys are arrogant,
Yes.
right? And you're just seeing all these things going to be dismantled in that way. Their arrogance is their
Yes.
downfall, and they announce these things years before they happen. And
Yes.
then when they start to peak, now their entire thing is jeopardized. But that's a lot of their own quote unquote dark magic that you do, because you have to tell people what you're doing before you
Yes.
do it, right?
And that's true, and I'm
that's
aware of
why
that.
that's why lack is such garbage, because
Yes.
you cannot dominate a society through the aspect of lack. You have to keep people in the dark, and then you tell things, but they're basically just kind of tucked away. So, oh yeah, we're telling what we're doing, but it's way back here, right? You have to kind of dig for it in that way. Or sometimes they'll say something in hyperbole through a public announcement or something. So
Yes.
again, that's part of their dark magic agenda, their magic agenda in that way.
Yes.
But again, all of that will downfall, because like I said, for any time that you're creating lack, there is the counterforce of love that is the rebel that will take it down every single time. This has been happening throughout history, and now it's just happening on a much more intense ground, because there's a lot more available to us now than there ever has been in the ancient past. There's no more
Hmm.
secrets.
Hmm. Very true. And they do have to tell what they're doing because we're sovereign beings. And the
Mhm.
only way they can do what they're doing is we give our permission away. We give them permission by being in a state of fear.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to say, and so they tell us, and we get in the state of fear, and we just gave all of our power to
Yeah,
them.
I mean, we have to understand that we're the ones as much responsible for all of this as anybody else, because
Yes.
we have given a silent obedience, right? So the whole idea is that, here's the good news, is now that we've gone through all this, we won't give that power away anymore, right? For the people that
Exactly.
really understand what's happening here, what's going on, is that, well, we're in a point now where we're not going to give our power away to anything like that. We've gone through this hell, and we know
Yes.
exactly what it's like. We know exactly what we've had to go through. And we do not want our children, we do not want our grandchildren, we do not want children in the generations ahead to ever experience what we have experienced. And we are going to change it. We are going to fix it. We are going to resolve it. And so that's very much the mindset that the collective consciousness right now is doing. And your media is not going to tell you that, but God consciousness will tell you at every step of the way.
Yes.
People have awoken so much, this will never happen again once it's
Yes.
finished.
Very true. It totally is a mass awakening. I feel it. I have been in a state of bliss since the end of March, since I realized, wait a second, it was March 21st, 2020. Wait a second. Mass awakening has begun. I
Mm-hmm.
know it. And I've been on just literally a high vibrationally, and
Yep.
everything around me. Like I said, I walk around with my badge of freedom. No, I don't get dirty looks. People are wishing me well. People,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I hope you stay safe. Yeah, I'm gonna stay safe. I'm fine. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all in my neighborhood. I
Yep.
live on a small cul-de-sac. I live in the mountains
Mm-hmm.
on a small cul. I mean, it's literally been like a block party on my street since mid-March. The kids are out of school. They're outside playing every day, having a great time. I'm serious. It's like the rest of the world is not affecting my block, at least. It's
Yeah,
great.
of course. No, that's good. And that's you creating your space of love, right?
Yes.
So your
Yes.
space of love will always be with you, and you can take it anywhere you want as well too, because then nice people will follow you, loving people will follow you. And if there's people that are
Yes.
difficult, they'll understand. There's everything is just meant to be shown to you in a certain way to help improve what you have already established through that space.
Yes, very true, very true. Now, I do have a question for Adronis, because here's my question for Adronis is, I understand as a master, as an awakened master, we're supposed to walk
Well,
the
I should
mid.
bring him in. I should bring him in first before I
Oh,
ask the
bring him
question.
in.
Right?
Okay, okay, all
So
right.
again, for those of you who are not familiar with Adronis, he is a Syrian consciousness. He exists in what's known as the seventh density of consciousness. Be kind of like an angelic being in that way. And I've been channeling him since December of 2009. So again, he is the one that comes through and shares a lot of this information, profound information. He's kind of like a universal encyclopedia. So if you guys are familiar with like Abraham Hicks or Bashar, similar to that, then it's very similar to that type of energy altogether. So it just takes me a moment to align, to bring him through, and then we can present any questions that you want through him. So I'll be one moment as I bring him in
Sure.
now. Make sure my microphone is good. There we go. Okay. All right. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. We say hello to Caroline and your viewers. How may we assist you today?
Thank you so much, Jonas. My question is, as an awakened master, I understand that the middle way is the way to walk more so in being neutral. And here in the States, because it is a political year, it is a presidential election year, everything is polarized. They say left, right. I personally, I'm not political. I don't even know what left, right means. So how, but I also feel very strongly in staying behind, putting my energy behind truth. So how do I keep my energy behind truth, but also stay in the middle way?
Understand that neutrality is not apathy. So when you are neutral, you're actually very compassionate. You're actually very loving, because loving does not have an extreme to it. So whenever you're looking at politics and you're looking at the far left or the far right, these are extremes and these are opposites. And they, in that sense, are out of balance. They are out of alignment. So what do? You do not engage yourself into the verbatim of the information relating to those extremes, but you look at the soul of the person. And you have love for them, you have compassion for them, and you are shining that light upon yourself. There is a ray that exists within you. And as you activate this ray, it is the essence of love and compassion through radiant feelings. So as you put that ray upon a person, you're seeing their soul. You don't care about their political alignment because that's out of balance thinking anyways. You're not concerned about their agendas. You're not concerned about their own opinions relating to the idea of what life means to them. That doesn't matter. You see that person as a soul, as a child of God, and you are illuminating that soul with your own love. You see, what brings you together is not your political views, not your social views, not anything pertaining to the melodrama of mortal affairs. What brings you together is your heart, your hearts, your souls. That's what brings you together. That's what unites you together. So when you go past the riffraff, when you go past the dirty surface of all these extremes pertaining to perspectives, and you come into the heart, into the core of that person, and you see them as yourself, for you are indeed the children of God, that is where the true unity is. So they could be talking your ear off about politics, about the far left or the far right. Well, I have a left hand, I have a right hand. What happens when I bring them together? They're in balance. So we are now looking into the heart of that person, the source of that person, the soul of that person, the godliness of that person. And you just go and you just give them a hug. And you thank them and you bless them for being present here. And that transcends all of the babble relating to the mortal affairs story. And so therefore, the idea of neutrality is maintaining a love that you have with God, because the human mind can only do so much. Human power can do so much. It's not very powerful. But what is powerful? Spirit. What is powerful? God. And that is what you're putting your energy into every single day, is your love for God, because you are God. Everybody else around you is God. And so as you work with that, as you praise that, as you bless that, as you worship the God within this holy temple that is your body, that is your being, you are becoming elated with greater states of love, greater states of compassion. You hold God power, and you can perform the miraculous just like Jesus was able to do, just like other ancient masters were able to do as well. So again, it is feeding your heart with the love of spirit, with the love of God. And when you are there, you see everybody else as a soul. You don't see them as a person who has an extreme political point of view, or again, babbling about mortal affairs. That doesn't matter. That's the surface. And the human mind currently is not really in that state of calibration to look past that, because it's still, again, like a moth to a flame relating to stories, and it's a moth to a flame relating to dramas. So what you're doing is you're going through your heart. You have an eyeball in your heart, and you're looking through that eyeball of the heart relating to everybody else. You see their light. You see their spirit. Even if they're going through the deepest bowels relating to mortal affairs, that they may feel wretched in certain ways, you're still bringing them love. You're still shining that ray from yourself, because God is within you, because spirit is giving you the power to see them beyond the story mode that many of you cling to relating to mortal affairs. So go past that and see the heart. And that is what neutrality does. It brings you into a balance point. It brings you into love and compassion on the deepest levels imaginable. It is not apathy.
Okay, thank you. Because right now, as it stands here, we are early August. We still have 3 months before the election, but right now, my heart is telling me not to vote because I'm not feeling either one of the candidates.
Then you're honoring what your heart tells you.
Okay. All right, because I get flack for that, but it's okay. But like I said, it's still, I mean, a lot can happen in 3 months.
Again, as we've talked about, this is nothing more than extreme points of view. When you're looking at political nature, you're not looking at a person's soul. You're looking at their human side.
Okay.
You're looking at their human ego in that way. When a person retaliates against you, all you're doing is you're putting up torches and you're trying to attack each other with those torches, because you're looking at extreme points of view through mortal affairs as a mortal, fragile human. And we are telling you to go beyond that. Mm-hmm. When you work together with the nature of neutrality, you are bringing the God out of you from within. And the God within you is so loving and so compassionate and so generous and so merciful and so graceful beyond anything that you can possibly imagine. And you can become that very essence, because God works with man, because man is God's vessel. That's exactly why man was created. Man was created to be the vehicles of God, to express God through them. All of this that you're dealing with is nothing but man's creation. It's useless. Mm-hmm. When you actually start coming into spirit and you start coming into true nature of God, you start creating everything from God. It stands the test of time. Your own earth and everything upon it is the proof of that nature. Your earth is ancient because it was created by God. It is billions of years old. Has there ever been anything upon this planet that has lasted billions of years through the hands of man? Not one thing. Because that's man's creation. It cannot stand the test of time. It ages, it dies, it decays. Your politics will age, they will die, they will decay. They don't mean anything. And so what matters the most is you, is your heart, is your soul, is your love, is your connection to God, being God. And therefore, when you get into that alignment of being God, everything that you create will stand the test of time. Look into the examples of your Jesus Christ. 2,000 years ago, one man came upon this planet and became the most popular man of your history, all because of the words that he shared, all because of the deeds that he did and what he taught humanity. And 2,000 years hence, plus, he is still admired as the most popular teacher on your planet. How did he do that? Because he was with God. He worked with God. He was the Father. The Father was him. So if one man can do that, what do you think 100 people that have that same type of alignment would do for the earth? You change overnight. You would shift yourself so prominently into another level of consciousness that everything you know right now pertaining to your technology, to your sciences, to your politics, etc., all of that would be gone because it would be unnecessary. When a person truly awakens to God realization, they see everything around them and says, all of this is unnecessary. All of this doesn't need to be here. Let it go. Sure, I will walk through all these things, but I am not a part of the addictions that relate to having to have all this technology or having to favor my own energy towards politics or through social discussions, etc., that get you nowhere. They are basically only favoring a human condition and not the true nature of God. So this is why we say, let the human side bond with God, because humanity by itself can't really do anything. It is when humanity bonds with spirit, bonds with God, that is where you become the true masters.
Thank you. I think it's so important for the listeners to understand the importance of the point of no return. Can you? Yes.
Well, this is again is what we have talked about, is that many of you are now starting to get on trains, as it were. You're boarding trains or you're boarding vehicles, you're boarding planes in that way. And it's going to take you into a momentum of where you feel you are as you go through a very large shift. There's a reason why all of this is happening. This is a culmination point. This is a tally up year. A year to tally up many things that have been happening throughout your modern history relating to corruption, relating to agendas, relating to political understandings, etc., that are now tallying itself up, and it's becoming self-destructive. Why? Because these were made by the hands of man, and they're destructive. They self-implode. They are mortal instruments. So everything is now starting to collapse upon itself. Many of you cannot even deny this. And those of you who are in denial just want to keep your head in the sand. Now, again, when you start to reach the end of the year, there is in that sense a very intense energetic shift. Brad has already discussed this earlier, talking about the nature of an astrological shift that is moving things into a greater state of lightness, which means things are going to be so incredibly transparent upon your planet, even if you're blind, you'll see it. That's exactly what's going to happen. So in that sense, everything becomes transparent. You can't look away, it'll be right there. You can't look underground, it'll be right there. It is in that sense so completely, totally transparent about everything that's happening, you can't deny it. There can be no shields from it in that way. But as you move into the state of the point of no return, the momentum that you carry, let's say, for example, that it is a lot of fear, is the momentum that you're going to move forward with. So you're going to basically drown yourself into a great amount of fear because the energies are going to be so ripely intense upon your planet that whatever the alignment is of what you would consider to be your mentality in that very moment is going to play itself out to a greater extreme in the years ahead. So this is why we say it's very, very important that right now, right here, you are working on resolving yourself. You are bringing love, you are bringing compassion, you are bringing joy to your hearts, you are forgiving yourself, you are forgiving others. You are working together at such a level of potential pertaining to love and compassion that now becomes your momentum. And now you skyrocket. And now you're going to be seeing these aspects of bliss within yourself becoming so radiantly beautiful and bright, you'll feel like you're walking in paradise. So again, everything that you carry with you at the point of no return, December 21st, 2020, is going to stay with you. So if you drop all those bags and you still feel light and you feel wonderful and you feel loving, and you drop all those bags and now you come soaring into that momentum that takes you into a greater land. It takes you into a greater heightening of being. Those of you who are very much hate-filled and filled with ego and filled with menace and filled with fear are going to basically stay on board sinking ships, because everything that you think you know is going to preserve itself isn't. It's all going to be taken down. Your banking cartels are going to be taken down. The idea of your financial systems are being taken down, the fiat currency altogether, so that there can be replacements. It's again, as Brad stated, wherever there is lack, there is a counterforce to it, and that represents love. So there's a lot of things that are going to be compensating all of these things that are falling apart, because they are working much more together into fairness. They are not systems that are going to entitle the idea of the select few while the rest basically feed off the crumbs. That's not going to be your reality anymore. It is going to be very community-based. It is going to be very equal. It is going to be very fair. That's what you're moving into. But those of you who are very much into fear are going to have a very, very challenging time attempting to get into that understanding. It's not to say that it's too late for you, but it's going to be very highly improbable that you'll be able to shift once you go into the point of no return, because the energies will be so intense. It's almost like looking at a particular analogy, that if a person in that sense has their blindfold removed and they don't know how to use their neck, and all they're looking at in front of them is filth, their neck feels like it's frozen. They can't look at anything else. Everybody else is just saying, just turn your head. Oh, no, I can't. I'm too transfixed on this filth. Oh, my goodness, this is what the world is. And you dive into that one perspective of filth, and you decline to that. All you have to do, though, is realize you have a neck, and you turn. And now you see beauty around you, all around you. And this is the turning point. Again, no pun intended, but it's the turning point where the idea of you looking at a whole new perspective is born. For those of you who are willing to change will have the much more uplifting experience of the times ahead. Those of you who are stubborn, who feel that you can't move your neck and feel that all you're looking at is filth and grime and debris, then you're going to stay with that, because that has a hold on you. It's basically giving you this impression like your neck is paralyzed and you can't look any other direction. But in fact, you can, for those who are willing to change. So for those in that sense are very much consumed by fear, will have a very, very challenging time attempting to get out of that, because the energies will intense a lot more. For those of you who are moving into love and compassion and empowerment, it will become a much more delightful change in that way. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yes, very much so. Very much so. Thank you so much. Now, I do one more final question just about the harvest, because I've been listening to you and I understand that the point of no return is not the harvest.
No.
The harvest doesn't
It
come
is a harvest to a certain degree. It is the idea that you are, as you would say, splitting yourselves off. But it is not, as you would term, as a full harvest, no. But it's a prelude to it.
So can you share with us about the harvest?
Well, the harvest is the idea to where there is a reaping of man in that way, is that every particular person upon your planet will, as it were, create their own reality to a much more intimate degree. So again, this is happening around the time of 2037 and 2038. So around that time of harvest, those in that sense that are in the appropriate, shall we say, alignments will feel themselves uplifting themselves into, as you would say, a new dimension of reality. So they are transcending themselves into a new reality. It would be seen as a new earth. For others, they may be able to leave the earth entirely. They may go back completely into spirit. For others, in that sense, they may stay where they are. Others, in that sense, will see much more of an uplifted earth where they are. It all depends. Everybody goes 8 billion ways during that time. So you cannot really predict that on a collective level. But everybody will go into their own respective realities that will be much more intimate within themselves. They will see much more of a personable reality rather than something that is more influenced in the nature of a collective. So again, that is primarily what's happening. You will still be part of a collective, but it will be something to where your thoughts in that sense are more malleable based upon the reality that you decide to go to. So in other words, those that move into high loving states will move into a very loving reality. Those who are much more into fearful states will move into much more of a fearful reality. So again, it's basically that what you decide, very similar to the point of no return here, is going to be the momentum of the reality that you create. It's the idea of reaping yourselves and moving yourself into different levels of dimension where you are seeing yourself becoming much more of an intimate creator to the reality itself, rather than feeling that you are, as it were, mingling together with the idea of a collective consciousness on a dense level.
Thank you so much, Adronis. This is so helpful. Thank you.
All right. We thank you for this opportunity of interaction. We will now conclude and return to the conduit. Goodbye for now.
For now.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Thank you. I love Adronis. I love you. It's just, a lot of the messages I try to share with my listeners is the empowerment and the hive to stay now, regardless of what is happening in this 3D realm, stay at a high vibration. It's so important now.
It is. Yes. It is. And especially now as well, too. Because you're
Yes.
seeing how all these things are plummeting. And like I said, do not be part of those worlds.
Yes.
If you're part of those worlds, you're going to suffer with those worlds, right? So it's basically being able to let those worlds go. Again, you're living on Earth, but those parts of Earth do not need to be a part of your life. Be part of community. Work together with people. Come together. It's not to say that you have to be a lone wolf and you have to do everything by yourself. Gather with people and work together with people. And again, this is what's going to happen in the times ahead, is that there is going to be a lot more community outreach. There's going to be a lot more people coming together. There's going to be a lot more people acquiring land. There's going to be a lot more people growing things and taking care of each other in that way. That's our future. And it's a very, very beautiful future, right? But again, if you get very caught up into all this fear and all these politics and thinking that your politicians are saving you, no offense, guys, but you are deluding yourselves. All right.
I agree with you.
It's not about the idea of politics or politicians that are going to resolve your issues. All right. There are going to be certain things that are going to be done because there's an alliance and they're taking care of certain things, but they're not looking after, as you would say, the common person in that way. Right? A lot of their agendas are basically to restructure things on a certain wholeness in that way. So yes, the political agenda will still carry forward, but it's very much like a person who's addicted to a soap opera. It's like they're watching Days of Our Lives in political view, right? And that's a soap opera, and that's all it is. It really is. It's a soap opera for people. And get out of that soap opera. Get out of the extremes. Get out of the opposites. Work with your heart. Work with spirit. Work with God. It's the most important thing to do, because when you understand that, you will understand the true nature of a human being. You'll understand what it is to be a Christed being. You'll understand what it is to live as a perfect higher self. Right? And that is humanity's true role. That's where we are. So again, that requires some inner work time. And some people don't like that inner work, but that's a requirement. That's something we have to do if we want to move into that level.
Very true, very true. I agree with you 1,000%. I'd love for you to share more. I know you mentioned it earlier, but share more about the deck, but also the T-shirts. I love the T-shirts. Okay, give me a couple of
the card deck, yeah. This is the healing code cards. All right, so I'll just hold it up so you guys can see it. Okay.
And explain what they do. Explain what they do.
So again, firstly, you can just go to healingcodecards.com. That's the website. Now, these healing code cards are contained with spirit energy. Okay, so the energy of God, the energy of spirit, is contained inside the cards, because I work very, very deeply. I go right to God when I do a lot of this work. Some people say, "Oh, Brad, how are these created?" I say, well, in a way that I can say it to, it's like you're going into meditation. you're reaching out to God, you're giving commands to God, you're commanding God's legions. And God's legions go directly into the cards by putting codes directly into the geometry. So there's sacred geometry on the cards. There's geometric patterns in the cards themselves that hold this frequency. They act as containers. And so basically there are commands of codes that are contained inside the geometry so that they can work together in specific areas of the body. So we have like a lung enhancer, we have a liver enhancer in that sense. So basically it's helping to clear out very thoroughly a great deal of toxins. And there's a huge list of research that I've done relating to all these toxins being removed, these viruses being removed, this harsh bacteria being removed. All of it is being removed, but it's all being done harmoniously. It's never basically going overbalancing or underbalancing, because spirit knows how to take care of you, right? So that, again, there's 36 cards in the body deck, and the result of it has been really profound, right? I've had so many people, like if you look on Amazon, all there are 5-star reviews, right? Awesome. Everybody is loving it. And there's lots of testimonials on the website, healingcodecards.com. And people are, again, using this to heal. And it's a helping, right? So again, the greatest form of healing you can do is through your inner work, but this helps you to work with the inside as well too. So it's working with the body primarily. It's helping to clean out the body temple, right? There's another deck that I'm going to be working on that'll be ready around the end of September, called the Mind Deck. Okay, and that works with your emotions, that works with your chakra centers, it works with many different things. It helps to clear out a lot of the debris in the mind. It helps to clear out attachments and all that. So it's a very, very different kind of deck, but again, will also contain 36 cards as well. So that is on the ground right now of coming off at the end of September. And then of course there is the Healing Code shop, and those are shirts. So basically the shirts are kind of like a well-rounded aspect to the Healing Code cards. They're not as deep as what the Healing Code cards can do, but they have a good, well-rounded effect. They give you a lot of vitality. They rejuvenate you. They detoxify you as you wear these shirts, or as you wear this apparel. There's hats, there's socks. There's other things you can use, accessories as well too. There's phone cases as well too. One of the themes called Charger, which basically eliminates harmful radiation. Detoxifies the phone, clears the phone in that way. Cleans your food, cleans your water, all of that. So these are all available on healingcodeshop.com. So that's basically the technology. I mean, it's Healing Code technology. It's spirit technology, because this is what stands the test of time. When you work together with spirit, when you work with God, everything becomes infinite in that way. It stands together. So again, it's cards. You know, cards have a life to it in that way. But again, those cards can always be reprinted for as long as paper exists. So and people can also get a digital version of it as well too. They can put it on their phone. They can use the cards that way as well too. So again, feel free to check out healingcodecards.com and healingcodeshop.com.
Now that you mentioned phones, my thoughts are, what are your thoughts of 5G?
Well, it's a technology that was originally weaponized. They're originally trying to weaponize the technology, but this is why there's been a lot of halts. There's been a lot of delays in trying to get it out, because the technology itself is being restructured, because that was one of the agendas, was to use 5G technology and basically use it as a control device, a weapon device in that way. So that a lot of that is being scrapped. So the 5G as a bandwidth will happen, but the technology in that sense is being overhauled in that way. So that is currently what's happening right now. So basically countries that have rolled it out, they're realizing they're doing petitions against it, and it'll be scrapped. And so there will be what I sense, this is what from Spirit is telling me, is that there will be a complete and total overhaul of the technology. So it will never harm a person. Right?
Very good.
But again, these agendas have to play themselves out firstly, right? And that could take time. But you know, this is what's happening. And so a lot of that weaponized technology is going to be exposed and is going to be taken down, and new replacements are going to come together that would not harm a person, because there's frequency ranges regarding the technology that you can use that would never harm a human, right? And would actually be much more beneficial to nature as well too. So that's on the drawing board right now. I'd say when that happens, I don't know. It could be the next few years, but or it could be very soon. It all just depends. I'm not in touch with the engineers. So
now, one more question about us having open contact with our galactic brothers and sisters.
In time. Yeah, that's not going to happen right away. Again, you can work with yourself to connect with them in your personal way. There are certain groups on the planet that are doing that quite often as well too. But it is getting closer. It's a time that's coming closer, but humanity has to grow up first, right? You cannot have this kind of technology. You cannot have this kind of mentality with people that are racist, that are fighting each other and all that. And I said, no, it's basically like trying to take the inmates out of an insane asylum and trying to bring them into space. You don't want to do that, right?
Right.
So
Yes,
humanity
I
needs
agree.
to grow up. Yeah, they need to grow up a lot more. And again, this is where you're working with spiritual practice, because a lot of the races that exist are very spiritual. Right? And they're all about energy. They're working together with energy bodies. They're talking to you about your emotions. They're working with you on karmic aspects and all of this, right? All of this is very much their way of life. It is nothing like what you see with Star Trek, right? We have Klingons and you have Vulcans and you have Romulans and all that stuff. It's none of that, right?
I like Star Trek.
I like it too. I like it too. We are very much entering a Star Trek-like future, right? Where there will be spaceships and such like that. But the way that space operates has never been portrayed properly in science fiction. It's never been portrayed properly. It's very, very different. You have to be aware of dimensions. You have to be aware of your consciousness. You have to be aware of your soul. You have to be aware of the connection to oneness with everything, because a lot of these beings are all about seeing, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. I'm you. I'm another soul in that sense. And humanity is the most powerful race that has ever been created by God. You are gods yourselves. And so there's going to be a lot of reverence as well too. They're going to be bowing down. They're going to be prostrating in front of you, right? Because you're a living God, right? And we don't feel like that because we're acting like children, but we're getting past that altogether. I wouldn't say acting like children, because children are actually more mature, but barbarians, Neanderthals, coming out of caves and grunting. That would be more appropriate. But that's again what we're trying to get past right now. And I wouldn't say try, but we are getting past it. But it will take a little bit of time. I guess I would say post-harvest would be a lot more of the time to when that happens. So I'd say between 2038, 2050 would be around the time to where that potential could come together. But everything changes. It all just depends in regards to how humanity progresses. But yes, right now you can connect with all these beings. They have no problem in connecting with you. But they're connecting with you not because they want to have coffee with you, but because they want to show you, hey, this is who you really are. This is why we're here. We're just being messengers for you. So when you reach out to them, a lot of them are just going to be messengers for you, to telling you how to go within, to go deep within yourselves, because again, they're very they're beautiful beings, right? The ones I've talked to, very beautiful. They're nowhere near as powerful as us. That's the amazing thing, right? If you go to these other planets, they will never, ever in a million years have the type of corruption that we have had on the earth. It's unfathomable to them, right? About what kind of corruption, what kind of chaos. Is like you have legions of parasitic beings surrounding the earth here, and there is nothing like that on other planets. Nothing. So again, we have all the extremes of the dark and all the extremes of the light here as well too. So we are the center point. We are ground zero, relating to everything that's happening pertaining to a shift between shadow consciousness and light consciousness, right? It's happening right here on Earth. Earth is the ground zero point for that happening.
Wow, it's amazing. And I know it's like the greatest show in the universe right
exactly
now.
Why there's so many beings around. You have thousands of ships. You have millions of ships. Many of them are cloaked or in different dimensions. They're under different veils, but they're watching this. And it's like they have their popcorn and they're just, oh my God.
I was like,
pass
me the popcorn.
Right?
Let's see what's going on Earth.
Exactly. And this is what they're doing. So some of them are helping. Some of them are doing some behind the scenes work. Some of them are just observing. So these humans are fascinating. This is really amazing. What's going on here? How are they able to still lift themselves up past all this darkness? They are so friggin' powerful, right? Guys, that's how a lot of ETs see you. They see you as some of the bravest souls that have come here and said, look at all the darkness they're going through. And it's like, boop, gone. And now they're uplifting themselves. How the hell are they doing that, right? So they're amazed by what we're able to get past, what we're able to transcend. And they feel for us as well, too. They understand that you guys have gone through so much darkness. You guys have gone through so much hatred and so much fear. You're able to still stand up and do work and come together. And I said, that is outstanding. And we cannot wait to introduce you guys to the galactic community, because that's not what it's going to be like when you're out here. It's going to be very, very different. It's going to be very loving. It's going to be very unifying. All of those particular corrupt forces relating to extraterrestrials in that sense aren't going to be a part of the future. They're going to be in far regions in that way. And actually, many of them are going to be helped as well, too. So again, it's a benchmark change that is not only happening to the planet, it's also happening to the entire universe. The entire universe is being unfolded and shifted into a new consciousness as well, too. And all these basically, quote unquote, baddies that we could call from other versions of dimensions and extraterrestrial origins are going to be helped They're going to be
Yes.
taken, they're going to be worked with to
Yes.
say, let's get out of this conquering mentality. Let's get out of this separation and consciousness and come into God. And
Yes.
there will be a lot of that help. And humanity will really be the teachers of the future that will be doing
Yes.
it. We'll be touching every single star. We'll be touching every single planet. You'll have missionaries of humans going on to the Pleiades, going off into Sirius, going off to the Arcturus, and teaching all these people about how to connect with God a lot more, because these races do have the capability, but in
Yes.
certain arrays of consciousness, but we have the full spectrum. So again, we are kind of like the Jesuses, Christs, that will go out into other planets and teach them, just like
Okay.
Jesus came here and taught
Right.
us. We're going to be like that, and we're going to go to different planets and be the Christs for these planets to help them move up into higher
Awesome.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a wild future, but this is exactly where we're going. What I've just told you is basically between now and the next 10,000 years.
Oh,
So it's going to be
okay.
very,
Okay.
it's going to be very, very amazing.
Yes.
It's nothing like what we would understand now. This is our dark ages right now.
Yeah.
We're
Right.
coming out of the dark
We're
ages and we're
coming
coming
out.
into a much more golden age.
Yes, yes. And I'm just, that's why I said I've been on the moon. I've been elated since March, when I realized I knew it was going to happen this year, something, but I thought something was going to happen at the end of the year, not that early in the year. In March, I was like, oh wow. So I honestly, I'm just loving this time.
Yeah, I'm just not surprised about what comes up anymore. It doesn't surprise me anymore. So when there's something like this that happened, it's, oh yeah, this is all just part of an agenda that's coming together. And again, it was prophesied, it was predicted that some big event bigger than 9/11 is going to take place, and it's going to hit the world really, really hard. But humanity will get through it. They'll get through it all together. They'll get through it with shining colors. And when an event like that big is going to happen, things like that can't happen anymore. You can't fool the people when that hose is kinked that long, and all this explosion of liquid is now going to come out of it. And again, that's the idea of a counter force that comes together through every bit of lack.
Yes.
Right?
So true. And
great.
like you said, wherever there's lack, there's love.
You can't have lack by itself, because it's not a lacking universe.
Right.
God never created lack. God never created suffering. That's man's inventions, right?
Yes.
Man's inventions pertaining to mortality. That's man's thing, right? That's not God's thing. God created us to live forever, right? For you to have one body, for you to have that one body temple, and to reach yourself into Christhood, into Godhood, and now start fully expressing God through yourself. This is why we have incarnation, people coming back into other bodies again if they choose to, and coming back into different dimensional earths and doing this again and again and again, until you go right into the source, until you get right into light, until you get right into God, and saying, oh my goodness, this is what I've actually been coming here to do. I've been coming to earth to understand that I'm a God. I've been coming to earth to understand how I can lift myself up into higher degrees of love. I'm showing compassion to my brothers and my sisters, my siblings of soul. I'm here to basically do all that work, because I will feel that I can only do so much when I go to spirit, because basically when you have this body, this is God's own creation. This is God's own technology that she has given to you, he has given to you. And so what you're doing is you're learning to perfect that body. Now, beings in spirit can go up into a very level. They don't have to touch the earth for tens of thousands of years if they don't want to. But at some point, they will want to have a body again. And so they go to earth and they have this body, and then they start to advance themselves. Now, if you want to stay a spirit for the rest of your life, for the rest of your existence, go ahead. You can stay in the spirit world for hundreds of thousands of years. You're never compelled to return.
Right.
People in that sense that want to move into a full embodiment with God will come to a different dimensional earth. They will come into a human body. They will perfect that body, and they will go to God. Right? This is, again, why reincarnation, again, it's even shared by the masters. Incarnation is a tool used to accommodate the mistake of death. Death is a mistake. It's not a sure thing. You have two things that many people say, well, we can basically count on death and taxes. No, neither of them, because they're both illusions. So you can't even count on those, right? What you can count on is God, and what you can count on is love, right? So how about, instead of death and taxes, love and God?
Yes, I agree with you 1,000. That's beautiful. I'm going to use that. Now, can you share your websites again with our listeners? And I will have links below.
So where I do private sessions with Adronis, and other sessions, I have digital courses online as well too. My website is newearthteachings.com. So it's NEWEARTH teachings.com, newearthteachings.com. And then, of course, there's my 2 websites with the healing codes. The first one is healingcodecards.com. The second one is healingcodeshop.com. But if you go to newearthteachings.com, you'll see them on the front page.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brad. I so appreciate this. And I want to get to BC, Canada eventually. I know it's beautiful there.
It's
so
beautiful.
I'm going to
It's
come
a cloudy
look
day
you
today,
up.
but it's nice. Yeah.
I'll come look you up, knock on the door. Brad, I'm here.
Great. Yeah, be great. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Love you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that show with Brad and Adronis as much as I did. That was amazing. We got up-to-date information from both Brad and Adronis as to the point of no return, how important this year of 2020 is. It's truly a pivotal year, and the date for this point of no return is December 21st, 2020, which is the winter solstice. I would suggest don't wait until the last minute. I would say it's all about your energy. It's all about your vibration. That is what we're going to experience more and more and more of, is what we are a vibrational match to. Are you a vibrational match to love? Are you a vibrational match to fear? That's basically what it comes down to. And especially as we get closer and closer to that December 21st date. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just love it. I love Brad and Adronis so much. Have a few announcements. I have several speaking engagements, live online speaking engagements this month. The first one was this past Sunday, which was August 2nd, at Unity of Lehigh Valley, and that was aired live on Facebook Live. So there is a Facebook Live link to that event. So, and that will be down below. I also will be speaking again this coming Sunday, August 9th, at Unity of Lehigh Valley. And again, the link will be below to their website and also to their Facebook Live page, because it airs live on Facebook, but you can also catch it anytime with the replay link on Facebook. I will also be speaking next weekend, August 15th, for the IANS virtual online conference. I'm looking forward to that. The IANS conference this year is going to be virtual and online, and it's from the 14th to the 16th. And there will be a link below that you can register for that conference. I will be speaking on a panel. The panel is Journey to Healing, which is great. And I'll be speaking live 3 o'clock Saturday, the 15th Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern, Saturday the 15th. So check that out. All the links below will be below. Also, if you go to my website, I offer a free mentoring session for anyone who might be interested in a mentoring session with me. Just go to my website, which is awake2onenessradio.org, and email me and let me know you're interested in having a mentoring session with me. Also, I will be hosting a monthly Zoom meeting this month of August. It'll be Thursday, August the 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to join in that group discussion, just send me an email and I will send you the link to that Zoom meeting. Also on my website, you can find a list of free events. If you go to my website, you'll see a page that says free online events. They're all holistic events because I'm very holistic. I believe very much in healing holistically. So go to that page. You might be interested in one of the events that will be hosted on that page. Also, again, everything I do is nonprofit. So I do take donations. I do have a donation button on my website. And I always ask if you can pledge $1 or $5 a month. That would be really helpful in supporting the work of Awake to Oneness Radio, which is basically to inspire us all to awaken to who we truly are as one. Thank you so much. I appreciate spending this time with you guys. Have an amazing weekend. Love you much. Namaste for now. See you next week. Bye-bye.